Oh. Well, William informed me today. So I panic cleaned a little bit.
Birds, I would get.
Because if I didn't, you know, she really truly would.
Yes. Are you using it? Yeah, because I just live.
All right, welcome everyone back to another strategic planning session. I'm Jen Nelson from OSBA. I know we have some familiar faces. I think I saw you at one last meeting before you were on the board, right? So we've been working for a long time on this. We have set priorities based on some surveys, and we came up with the things that we wanted to have incorporated and what the board wanted to focus on. And really what we're doing here now is taking that draft plan that Terry and his administrative team have developed, assigning goals and certain performance indicators that are gonna help the board to monitor that progress on those indicators. And what we want to do today really is just make sure that all the priorities that you had established, when you see the actual goals and you see the indicators out there, that everything's aligned with what the board really wanted to focus on for those strategic priorities. Before we jump into the actual plan though, I did want to review, I know we've had some changes on the board. This is a lovely graphic. I am really excited about it. Thank you for sharing that with me, and whoever did the hard work on putting that together. It's lovely. We do have all of the four strategic priorities that the board developed with kind of an explanation here. But before we go further, I did want to touch on the vision and mission statement, because at one of our last meeting or maybe before that, kind of at the end, we said, you know what, I think our vision statement looks more like a mission statement and vice versa. So I did notice that the vision statement, I believe, is what we had intended to be the mission statement. So that's the only minor change that I want to clarify that the board is still on board with. So that vision statement would be more like that visionary aspirational goal of a district where all students are valued, inspired, and belong. So that's more visionary, and that's where you want to be. And the mission to achieve that vision is to give each student every opportunity to achieve their potential. So, as long as everyone was, those changes that we would swap that out, I just want to make sure that we're still on the same page for that.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, good. I figured that would be easy enough. So we'll just take note that that'll have to be changed on there. Yeah. And then, okay, so with that, we're really gonna dive right into having Terry present the strategic plan.
I did.
It is, and I believe it's also been printed and handed out for you. Of course, I tried to separate them onto each page just simply because we'll be doing some work with them and I thought that would be easier, so. I'll get you this to you right. Not the. Okay, next. Really hard to do. Yeah, large one compared to one page. Goodness gracious.
We can go off the paper, Jen, that's fine.
Yeah, I figured, and
That's okay.
okay, so I'll go ahead and let you, Terry, if you wanna just go through it, and I'll try and go around with it.
Okay, so I'm on the 3-pager. Everyone will take a copy of that one, please. I'll do the best I can with my voice. I've got the sickness that I think lots of folks have right now, so. Starting off, we just did the switch with the mission and vision profile of a graduate there. Productive citizen, lifelong learner, critical thinker, ethical leader, effective communicator. Does everybody see where I am there? Okay. Then the strategic priority, safety and engaging schools. This one came out pretty much right on top when we were going through our survey results. This is the, a key priority for our community. So the district goal, ensure that every student learns in a safe, secure, modern, and welcoming environment that fosters engagement, creativity, and readiness for an ever-changing world. This is our next 5-year plan. And in a lot of ways, we're trying to prepare students for jobs that may not even be available yet, or created yet. And so we want to give them the best start that we can. One thing that I'll say right at the top here, although college bound is in here, I just want to make it clear, I want all of our students to be able to go to college. I'm not someone that's going to say everyone has to go to college. We've got too many examples that, that's just not true. So again, I want all of our students to be able to, financially, skill wise and all of that. But there's so many other valuable options, plumbing, electrical, etc., that our students can go into as well. The performance indicators on here, school safety audits, increased student, family, staff and family perception of safety and belonging on climate surveys, modernized classrooms, and that's something, a lot of these are things that we have been working on and we will continue to work on. Reduction in safety incidents and disciplinary referrals. Monitoring and timelines. If you have questions as we go along, please just let me know. Quarterly safety audit reports, annual climate and engagement survey results, facilities improvements, discipline and incident reports reviewed quarterly. There's multiple parties, superintendent, leadership team, school principals, facilities and maintenance department, safety and security team. If insufficient progress, reassess and adjust safety and facility upgrade plans, provide targeted staff training and resources, increase family and student engagement in climate improvement initiatives, reallocate funds to priority safety needs. That's our first one, the way that we went through that. Is that okay? Any questions on the first one there? If not, I'll dive into number 2. Second one, and Jen has it now. Strategic priority, thriving students and prepared citizens. Great job. I can even actually read it too. Thank you. District goal, empower every student to thrive. as a contributing citizen with strong character, clear purpose, and individual strengths aligned with the profile of graduate. Performance indicators, increased student participation in leadership, service learning, and extracurricular activities. Growth in students demonstrating SEL competencies and character skills. Improved attendance and engagement rates. Positive trends in behavior and discipline data. Monitoring and timelines. Biannual review of attendance and engagement data. Quarterly PBIS and SEL implementation reports. Annual student leadership and participation reports. And annual climate and engagement surveys. Responsible parties. Starts with me, our leadership team, principals, counselors. Through our building level teams. If insufficient progress, provide targeted student supports and interventions, increase student leadership and opportunities. And then reallocate fundings as necessary. Strengthen SEL and character, there we go. Character education implementation, engage community partners for student mentoring. Pillar number 3, academic success for all. District goal, deliver a rigorous, well-rounded education that meets the varied needs of all students and prepare them for success beyond graduation. Performance indicators. Growth in state assessment scores and district benchmark data. Hopefully the state will continue on a single path. They're known for jumping about every 3 years, so that makes that longitudinal 3 to 5, makes that longitudinal data difficult to track, but that's my hope. Reduction in achievement gaps across student groups, increased enrollment in advanced courses and CTE pathways. Monitoring timelines, benchmark assessments monitored 3 times annually. State testing results reviewed annually, graduation and dropout data analyzed annually, course enrollment and program participation tracked each semester. Responsible parties, superintendent leadership team, curriculum and instruction department, principals and teachers, intervention and support teams. And then if insufficient progress, adjust curriculum and instructional strategies, provide targeted academic interventions and supports, increase professional learning for staff, engage families in student learning plans. 4th pillar, connected school community. Strengthen connection among schools, families, and community partners to foster student growth and shared success. Performance indicators. Increased family participation in school events and programs. Growth in community partnerships and resources for students. Improved communication, ratings on annual surveys. Increased stakeholder participation in decision-making process. Monitoring and timelines. Family engagement data reviewed quarterly. Community partnerships. Partnership reports updated annually. Annual stakeholder communication surveys. Reviews of community event participation logs each semester. Responsible parties, superintendent, principals and family engagement, community partnership liaisons, communications. If insufficient progress, expand and diversify communication strategies, develop targeted family engagement plans, increase outreach to community, adjust resource allocation to support engagement initiatives.
Are there any questions? Terry, thank you. Well, initially, we might get them as we dive in here. Okay, so the idea is that we have our plan presented with all the things that we're going to be looking for in order to show that that performance is what's happening. And what's great here is that we already have developed some monitoring and timelines and who's it going to be, which is kind of the next step. So we're already preparing for that, because usually when you adopt your plan, you have to remember that it's a working document. Sometimes midway through, you might be monitoring the plan and have different ways for the reports to come back by looking at all those different things that you're using. And you'll find, okay, this isn't the direction we want it to go, or we aren't getting there. Is there something else we can do? So you'll eventually adopt the plan. And that will be your plan, but I just want everyone to kind of think of it, it's a fluid document. So even if you adopt it as it is, that there might be potential later on in the future that things change based on what numbers you are seeing when you're doing that progress monitoring. And that's another part of the strategic plan, is to have that kind of monitoring timeline in place as to when Terry's going to come back or staff's going to come back with those certain reports that indicate what you're aiming for and working towards on that goal. So just to keep that in mind. It's really great that we have it broken down to who it is, so that the board knows too, who's kind of working on this. Those are people who you might expect to be getting some of your reports at those meetings, that you are monitoring progress of your strategic plan, because this is for 5 years. So, and then I love that we have different ways that if things aren't going where we want it to go, okay, these are things that we're going to think about doing. So it's just hoping that you all understand the different parts that comes with this. It's not just we set the priority, we say this is the area that we want to focus on, then we set the goal. And then whatever that goal is, we make sure we set up ways to see if we're actually getting that in a measurable way. So what I'd like us to do is we're going to go ahead and break up into groups. I was going to do it per priority, but I think I'm going to do, since we have a smaller group today, I'll just have you break off into 2 groups. And what we're going to do is we're going to really dive a little bit deeper. I have some questions for you to think about, where you're looking at the different priority goals and performance indicators that are on there. So I don't know how you want to break up in groups. If it's easier for somebody to move on this side, staff are welcome to sit in with the groups, and maybe they have some questions as we're going through. The idea is to try and figure out just basically if you feel that the goals and the indicators that are being presented to you are going to get you to where you set your priorities, your 4 pillars that you really want to focus on. And so the questions that I'm going to have you focus on in those groups, if I can do this, which is why you have it in front of you. We'll be able to switch back screens, but here's kind of the instruction for this next section, or this next activity. So each group, you're going to have your assigned priorities and a goal. That's right there on the top. And you want to use this first question, which is, do the goals align with the strategic priorities, to kind of guide your discussion? And then I have 3 questions up here that I'd like you to consider while you're in the groups. I'll make this bigger here in a moment.
Okay.
But basically, does the goal clearly support the stated priority? Are the performance indicators meaningful and connected to that priority? And do the proposed monitoring timelines make sense to you? So we'll go ahead and start with the first 2. Let's do our what do we have? Okay. We'll do the safe and engaging schools in one group, along with the thriving students and prepared citizens. So you two gonna work together, or? Sure. Okay. Why don't you take back those first 2 priorities? Okay. And Mike, yeah.
There.
Okay, and then the next group will work on the academic success for all and connected school community. So I'll enlarge these questions. I just want you to take about 15 to 20 minutes, talk to your group. And answer those questions about those priorities and the goals that have been set for them.
We going 2 groups, or do you want to go 3?
Oh, we can do 3. Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to do. I figured just maybe more people talking about it. You want to just join? Let's do
1.
Let's do 2 groups. It'll
Come
be
join
easier.
us.
And that's girls versus boys.
Well, I was enlarging. Questions for you? Come on, Barbie.
What is that? It's that one's locked. Oh, yeah.
She enlarged it.
Need to wait a little bit.
She enlarged it.
So what did we end up with?
Yeah.
In the song?
Yeah.
You've got the connected school. And the academic success.
260 this year.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you.
See that. I'll see the four. We're doing the first two.
Yep. Dave, I mean, gave you. You was also like with this shirt.
Oh, it's till 6 p.m. 6 p.m.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to. Yeah.
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 So, yeah. just green motions.
Okay, so then I just as much. I gotta have to rush. But I have my mistress do. I know. I know you live. Yeah. I don't think you'd like to see that. But I'd have.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
I just.
That's a great. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But I'm hearing.
Anyway.
Yep.
So let's see. The points in here. Are they leaving?
I think I know the first one, even personally. I know you have. Yeah. See.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
You know. I mean, everyone track.
do the
Yeah.
proposed monitoring
Yeah.
timelines make sense?
That's the way at least. Use.
Yes, I think so.
If we have to, anyone change something, because it's time to actually.
Would you like
So I can see the result.
Annual. run something.
Absolutely. We don't do that.
No.
No, we do that. Malice.
And it's unfortunate, very few people feel that out.
I don't know that I've ever gotten.
Do you know?
Oh, okay, so I was like.
Once a year. Fall winter, spring, assessment.
Something.
I mean, we just.
Is that something, and then just like, you add on and just from
So that's like junior high and high school?
Some of those always, they're just. You're not all the opportunities. Next time, well, hey, don't take place. Today was, that's how. That's the relationship between the teacher and the principal, teaching staff or whatever, I know these things.
You're safe adults in the building, you know, that's issue.
It's not always fun, but I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's that.
I think it was just those three
Yeah.
first in
Oh, okay.
each one.
So the thriving students and prepared citizens.
Let's go. Yeah.
Is the portrait of the graduate?
Too.
I see, in the portrait of the graduate, how we usually refer to them, but we can maybe do that. So whatever you,
I just saw that, I wanna say portrait. Be consistent, low profile.
We change that.
Did you like
that?
We change that. We also need each one numbered. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Did you get it? See. I sent it to you on an email.
I know they're like pretty close, but like the goals in each one of these boxes is just like a little bit different wording or some things are left out or whatever. Are we wanting this goal to be consistent
Somebody's
with
online.
what this is?
It's just space. Somebody's online watching, so maybe it's her.
That's something you see that.
Like if there's something important that we feel is.
You know, this was.
There's a work session, there's a whole lot you can.
Yeah. You're not negotiating all this into this.
Right.
I mean, if we had.
Right. Yeah, so then you'd want.
Before,
that.
we could have
Yes.
exactly sent her to, you know. Could have zoomed her in, but.
Big dimension. Yeah. Why, when you have a dimension. How is that?
Monthly through the participation reports, I know in high school, we always
Yeah.
said how many kids are in.
Yeah.
I guess why.
Yes, you know.
That's why you want to get money.
Some of it. Going back to when I was there, I had classified staff, I remember to still after school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do they track that?
That's just it, 50,000.
Yeah.
And I'm certain, yeah, I just had a son,
Yeah.
sheet,
Yeah.
and then we could compare their behavior and see if there's something just a relationship.
What is this being club?
Well, it's, I don't know what's going on,
Oh,
this is like 2018.
Okay.
But the high school does, it. The high school does it, well, they announced it, I mean. They use their students area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kids that are.
Yeah. So it's kind of.
Yeah, and so we lost. Because what did you? I know there's always.
Yeah. Where were you from?
You would chat. Yeah. Was one of
Oh, a lot, yeah.
I know they did magic.
Oh, I was like, doing things. Separated, you know, discussing the first two. Not everyone that's there is how we.
Basically, it's an outlet. You just started it after the school sports and.
I was not.
They had a.
That's how maybe our.
I graduated in 14. Yeah.
It's 6:12.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't call that.
No, I don't actually think a staff member was interested.
Right.
I don't know, I mean, from an elementary school level, I don't know of any extra things that they.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is. You notice that was racing just. They were really interested.
Go over and do the house.
Chess, checkers.
The virtually never.
Yeah. So.
That's pretty neat.
Being above it, you know, kids have been going to it. It's hard.
So difficult. They say.
Well, a lot of stuff they're doing, it's outside the store, right?
Yeah.
Or basketball, I mean, not necessarily.
Sixth grade, when they did the work. Took the young best in the baseball. So that's the work.
The chiefs of the.
Yeah.
They had a need, they did a shot, he was in.
You're sorry, really sorry.
And then it's first,
Yeah, that's a huge. Yeah, that's.
And the kids, they have to work, they all stay together. Just got one kid. If he's a little, that's what I said. Here's somebody got there. He's only hired.
It would have to be.
18, 30.
Some big rush at all.
There's all classes that run around.
Yeah.
They need it, the sooner they're done, they come back and go to finish.
So that there's so many different.
Right.
Kids call me.
Right.
And yeah, I called him.
And like you said, elementary kids, they have to rely on their parents, their work schedule or whoever.
Here, there, so.
Elementary.
No.
No, it shouldn't.
No.
And then break it.
I know, I'll stop right at that. I think we can cover it though in high school junior time with our extra, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, we're really. Oh, we are on driving students, very citizens.
Yeah. I think, yeah, for
But
the,
again, I like what Amanda said, we've got to make sure that the most important things on this are on this visual, because we can't fit everything just because it's supposed to be a little
Yes, more things.
I think
snippet.
basically it's just missing the aligned with the profile graduating, correct, Amanda?
Portrait.
Oh, yeah.
Portrait. Yeah.
Which again, if we gotta put. As they don't have so much slower, and so the people are trying to raise money, you know, you do everything, I remember giving her dance and there's so much I do, you know. Even though conferences, and extra money there too.
Wow.
Because when kids would come in, it's not their fault.
Right,
You know, so
right.
it's hard to.
Yeah.
Motion is much fire.
Well, and it's-
Small. I need. Like, it's on ATs, that's right. So you are show. So usually people can say, great.
Wow.
So I get it.
You're so. So. What are they on that? PBIOs now.
Well, now that we're really, focusing on district level PBIS,
What is PBIS?
positive behavior intervention system.
Okay,
We used to be the symptoms based intervention. So instead of, disciplining a child or their behavior, we're focusing on positive behavior.
Okay.
You know, just what's the future, the cause of the.
Okay.
That and providing resources.
A lot of reporting.
A lot. Some of the schools do bigger than some.
You know, he is.
You guys have your carnival, I did to PBIS, we would always bring in police, glow sticks and.
Yes.
Say that trick or treating, so a lot of.
You've seen the.
Little is in front of you. We say.
Yeah.
And then also have the police officer. See this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
We're doing that again. Share.
Right.
We're also blue jays.
After the breed.
And there's a huge rest of the police officer, let's see, this is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's great, so PBS is huge, I think we're really. I would stress really good job with your as a parent. What we're getting at, we're seeing that.
Secondary.
Yeah.
Where we can. Have the best ICIS.
We're trying to save their vote. So when the child is in elementary, see if they are responsible, working in high, see that thing. Anybody at the high school, so they're seeing it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, focusing on positive.
Signature.
Right.
Yeah, they said, turning to the bird.
Two kids coming.
All right.
Yeah, stop running.
Children one.
That's, this is how we work.
Yeah.
How we.
Yeah.
And we have those interventions like check in, check in, part, I know, probably person listening, will check in, check out part. From 8 to 8:30, and wherever they go, it's all there's no. So that. They're going to see each of the something, whereas the chicken, I don't know, great job of making it.
Yeah.
They for, you know, their goal,
Right.
and it's a team. It's a well teacher,
Yep.
sorry, you know, their support staff.
Right.
Just, you know, but that's what we have.
Yeah, so you weren't going to make me.
I think it's gonna line so that.
Mhm.
You have before school, relaxation.
And then the monitoring guidelines, do they make sense?
Build what's up to.
We look at our TV bills. More
Oh,
long.
But the engagement data,
That's where.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we look at the high school, sports, of course, 3 times a year. Clubs, once or twice a year, because I remember having to provide that data with CrossFit. And
You know, they still have.
so it's at least I am.
The state
Years lower than that.
Where they do that on normally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Something we could just do.
yeah, you've gotta have a timeline.
That's a timeline. Well, I think it's much.
As far as I know, I think they do.
Oh, yeah.
What's in the?
I mean,
I
I
think
feel like we
it's
could,
just-
I mean, can we have more than 4 bullet points? Because I feel like the attendance should be more frequently and then the engagement, I mean, more so probably on season, like.
So. Junior high. They go to try that station. Someone's also that. Don't do it. So one of them was separated out.
Review of attendance and then engagement data separately.
And it's engagement. Semester. Semester years. I
Just one.
Fine.
Well, that's station. I mean, that's for sure, at least 3 times a year. And then in the fall, see, so that you track. Go ahead, you do that again. So regular, for sure. Each.
Right. But there's not only sports, there's other
Yeah.
things too.
Right.
So if you do biannually,
Yeah.
that kind of covers
Yeah.
everything.
It's so. Well,
Well, and Ryan took some football.
Well, also. Really show, because they go in.
Then us. Observe down the road, we know we had a show you something and have the show that they.
Do they turn in like, here's the law? Yeah, it's all the wrestlers.
It's that though.
Yeah.
Weekly.
Weekly, right.
Yeah. They're really just bad.
Might be something in our new way.
It's just.
Our way here is,
Because they were all in
today, so they're brand new, SEO, digital electronic.
But that's a good one time.
Lessons.
Just getting.
Interventions.
Yeah, it was last stage, they had to do.
Work. That's what we do.
Set up that.
Kids, we, yeah.
About itself,
All this about. And,
I don't know that an assessment would be a negative, because you can turn it into a positive.
Here's that, hey, it's all our assessors or like. So that's, yeah. It would be not a.
So there has been junior. I don't know,
Yeah.
Scott's just been contract so well.
Yeah, question.
Very good. You got some important. But,
No, it's also about implementation. That's the key.
And so we.
Because they well, they give you your schedule.
Because
I don't.
they can do.
There's a little bit.
And it's all gets to that. Egg structure. They can do like.
Do we still need a little time to go through both of your priorities and goals? What I'd like you to think about if you're almost done with your conversation, I'd like you to think about one or two of the strong points of alignment. We're gonna share out shortly. I want you to think about one or two of the strong points of the alignment or one or two recommendations for possible refinement. So if you, I don't know if anybody's been taking notes. I do, yeah. So as we're kind of sharing that out, are we ready to share out and talk about that, or do you need a few more minutes to get through? Okay. I think we're going ahead. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and have those questions. I'm gonna refer to them in a little bit. Oh, not that one, this one. And so we're gonna start with the first priority. Where are you? All right, there we go. Okay, so here we go. So strategic priority of safe and engaging schools, and the district goal is to ensure that every student learns in a safe, secure, modern, and welcoming environment, fosters engagement, creativity, and readiness for an ever-changing world. That was your group, yes?
Yep.
So share with us, looking at the goal and performance indicators for this specific pillar of safe and engaging schools. Is there anything that you see as a really strong alignment with that overarching priority in the goal or in the performance indicators?
Well, we really like the performance indicators, the one that we will have modernized classroom spaces that support 21st century teaching and learning in the high school, but you know, so we just wanted to make sure that you know, we noted that, or how could we reword that, because it's going to happen, but we don't have all of our learning spaces. It's coming. The high school is the last to get their remodel and can't wait. And then I think we're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I just kind of put that there, that might need some refining for that performance indicator.
I think we got reworded.
High school's the only one left.
It's the only one, yeah, so I
Yeah.
think we do have modernized classrooms and
Okay.
learning spaces, but you know, we're not 100% there. We're like, you know, if the high school gets finished, we'll be fine. So I'm not sure what we need to say.
So. There's a weird question, I'm gonna, so reduction to safety incidents, absolutely, when we have safe, Josh, his crew, crews we have in the buildings, our lead custodian stuff, they do a great job on all the safety things. So it's going to disciplinary referrals. It's not like they're bringing machetes to school, and running through the hallways, and our disciplinary referral, we have kids that are, we put in things, coming to school, they have, there are a lot of the things that we have are not. I mean, it seemed like a mismatch for, not safety, I'm thinking about, we have really pretty safe schools because our SEL stuff, social emotional learning, work that they do, that we do district wide, we have district leadership and then into our counselors. So that one just, it seemed like a weird little base, like you put stuff in, it's almost like throwing a cat in the, here's a collection of dollars and we're gonna have a cat there. It just seemed weird, but maybe
Would it be better if we just said reduction in safety incidents and forget the disciplinary growth in this area?
that may
That makes more
makes
sense.
sense to me, but I didn't know when we were building everything, what people. You know, I mean, the other,
Right.
the crew might have had, because our disciplinary referrals. Now, if disciplinary referrals are made. It's kind of where we have, we're really good kids, which is a good thing, right? But it's, and we have disciplinary things, but it's, you know, it just seems like that when we put it in safety, I'm saying like majors, kids bringing guns and tanks and.
So can that be like another bullet point?
Or propping doors open,
Yeah,
that type of thing.
yeah, so safety incidents, I think it's.
Safety and security incidents.
The safety incidents could be that, property doors could be those sorts of things, which.
I don't like measuring disciplinary referrals
Yeah.
for the main reason that you get that one class that really is. Okay, that's this year's seventh grade class. I mean, they are. They are not the best behaved class in general. That's the kindest way I can put that. When we had them, probably just eighth grade, I can't remember which year, sixth grade, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, they would have our record referral numbers. Across the board.
Great.
So I think that'd be a hard one to measure. Are we doing better than we did last year?
Based on what?
Based on,
Yeah.
first month. They either are trying the boundaries, so there's gonna be an influx more, or they haven't tried the boundaries yet and they're on the honeymoon period.
So
So,
in a smallish district,
yeah,
there are classes that have personality.
Yes.
And so, and I mean, I saw it, it's not a small school in Nicolaus High School, a district about the same size. And when this senior class graduated and I had people, I remember that when you were a kid, right? It's like, thank you, Jesus. And they were surprised, because they had their own personality and.
Yeah.
And it was, they were. And
I like,
so, yeah. so-
I like them doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the flip side though, it affects, we're monitoring our top 3 behaviors for kids that are visiting our reset room. And then we're targeting how to reduce the amount of kids coming for that reason, so it's not necessarily referral based, but it's behavior based, so it's like. What are the behaviors in my building that I need my staff to continually working on, so.
Well, that,
Another way to quantify them, it's not referrals, because referrals depend on the person.
yeah.
It's in working with kids and whatever behavior they're seeing.
well, safety incidents, there's, Alan is talking about,
They're two different
like in the school,
Right.
and then our strong alignment in this is that we're starting to really implement PBIS.
Right.
You know, safety as in kids at resource, at recess, right, not pushing another kid off of the center. You know, I think we're addressing that with PBIS,
I agree.
and that's very different than a high school kid and bringing it down. Well, safety incidents is really, yes, it's such.
Yeah.
That's good.
Something that I think might fit in that place. And it's up to all of us, but one of the things that we're really trying to reduce is bullying. And we're tracking that, we're asking how many bullying incidences for school are occurring. How many of those, a lot of times, unfortunately, it's conflict. Well, I guess not unfortunately, but a lot of times what people think is bullying is actually conflict. And so we're trying to get that dialed in, one, so that we can reduce it, and two, so that we have an accurate count if you.
And educate our family, because the kids, I believe, understand the difference between conflict and bullying. It's our families that don't. And
Well-
they'll say, my son is being bullied.
Or vice
It was
versa.
one-
Right,
one
right,
time-
there you go.
Well, and sometimes my staff, we have someone say somebody's being bullied and so we have to. I talk to them. The language I use with my staff is a little different sometimes than what we do, so I thought about, it's a conflict, so peer-to-peer conflict, thank you, Mark. I tell them sometimes just. Yes, I use different language with them, but a peer-to-peer conflict is. What most of what we see, because there'll be a kid that will call somebody ugly, and then the other kid will call them ugly, and it's like, it's not really bullying unless there's a,
Right.
And so we have, it's just, you have peer-to-peer conflict.
And that is essential, because you're gonna have that your entire life. Stuff, unfortunately.
Bullying now is such a, if somebody's, my kid's being bullied, what's that look like? Well, he called this girl this, and this, and she slapped.
Well,
Yeah, I probably will too, and it's not bullying, it's just that was peer-to-peer conflict.
right, right.
And call girls these names.
Grow up.
It is, yeah.
People are ignorant and don't understand the difference.
Yeah, and I think that's measurable.
I do
Yeah,
too.
right.
I do too.
And I think we could really vamp it up a little bit higher, because. What is it that we ask now? How many incidences did we have reported? And how many were actually bullying?
True
That's
bullying.
probably a good idea. Yeah,
Excuse me.
Okay, so is there anything, and now we've changed it a little bit to make those two different bullet points, they might be able to be the same one, but what you're doing is you're basically, what things are we gonna be looking at to ensure that our goal of having safe, secure environments is occurring? So is there anything out of this goal performance indicators that are listed that are a really strong connection to what you think? Is it the one that we're talking about, or is it something else?
How do we measure the ones based about it? That changing what you're doing right now? Sorry,
The increased student staff and
no, the
modernized classrooms,
modernized
learning
classrooms.
spaces?
How do we?
I think those are some of the more global type things.
Yeah.
We went through and redid the lighting. We
Right,
did that all the way through the system. That helps improve the learning environment. It's research based, it's what,
but is that measurable, or is that what we're trying to put in?
I see what you're saying. Well, it is, because once you have a place that's modernized, then you kind of have that indication that these are the things that we've added to it, these are the things that we have, and if you're working on the high school to do that, I mean, it's not like other reports, but there's still a way to show progress that's happened on that. Measurable, it's not really, it's not a data point, but it is just something that you would report on and say, has occurred. And eventually, when the high school is up to date, so how do you monitor, like, after that, keeping things modernized? So like, is there a method or a way? Do we do inspections? Do we do like, is there a system to go through the safety or things that needing updated on an annual basis?
So,
We have a safety committee that meets
Yeah.
monthly, but
Okay.
yes, we are
Yeah.
tracking that.
Okay.
Yeah, we look, those are monthly, in every building.
Every
One of
building.
the things that's kind of, this will be anecdotal again, but once we go to car wash store and fewer interns, because I'll be often the last guy in school, I'll take a walk
Yeah.
around, see some steps in, and I'll tug on doors. I'm doors, and it's hardest because the store is really old and it didn't shut, and the person didn't think slammed it when they left. On our front door, we had it, so I think once the modernization, that little doors open will be, and now so the problem thing we want, the doors open. And then this little security key thing, I think that's gonna help you.
I mean,
A lot. Yeah.
So one of the ways you can monitor that is that as the safety committee or you yourself are
Yeah.
going around and checking these things, you could have a checklist that you're like, okay, this, and then have that to submit and be like, okay, we got, 10 out of all 11 doors were all locked except for one. And so then it shows that, and then if you improve that, then you can, so maybe your safety checklist or whatever you use to go around could be the method that you use to look at to ensure that our performance is improving that area.
You also have long-term facility teams do
Yeah.
walkthroughs of buildings and just do walkthroughs of buildings and visit other areas and just do that periodically every so often. And report back to the board on.
and I'm not seeing these as a toggle.
Right.
We have it or we don't. I see it as a spectrum. So like when I put in the we put in the safety film
Yeah, yeah.
across the fronts of the schools, around the entrances and that. That's not something that we generally sensationalize,
Right.
but that is something that could come up on a report like this. So we're continually, by adding the vestibules and different things. Incrementally, we're continuing to keep that focus. To improve safety for students and families and staff. And so as long as I'm looking at that right, not as a toggle, we have it or we don't.
As long as you have some way of measuring success. Or that's.
Well, with that being said, Terry, we could keep that modernized and say continue to modernize our campus.
Yes.
I mean, because we've got every building completed except for a high school and we're working.
Yes.
So I think we could just say continue to
Yeah.
modernize. That's a fun word. Yeah. And then I think we could,
You said you lose the noise again.
What did I do?
You lose
Oh.
the again.
I think it was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so the safety vestibules, that's something that is each school has received their seismic upgrade.
Yeah.
We've done that, that's been put in. We still need to do that here, but district office, it's always been said, we'll get the schools fixed. We've got to do, we did get the entry fixed.
got the
Yeah,
entry.
We got the entry fixed. If you haven't seen that, take a look.
Just.
And we've got a long ways to go for, finish off the 21st century.
Never ending.
Yeah.
With the new technology. All right, so do we feel good about this priority and the goals and those indicators?
Since we changed it, we need the, at high school, we take.
Yeah, we gotta take that out.
What I'm doing is instead of us wordsmithing right here, I'm gonna put these notes in, areas present, and just to indicate that these things are the areas that might need refinement afterwards, and we'll let them kind of figure out what's the best way to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next priority, and we want to just share if there's anything that stands out that is in strong points of alignment. Going, there you are. Let's start with the strong points of alignment first before we go into anything.
We wanted to change the word profile to portrait.
Okay, where are we? Oh, there we go.
Consistency's good.
Portrait.
Good catch.
Oh, goodness. This is. All right, there we go. Oh, my gosh.
The pressure of everyone.
I know. Well, I'm in a really awkward position and I'm like a little too tall for this right here. Okay, so we want to make sure we change that to that. This portrait of a graduate and make sure that that's referred to the same.
We felt really good about our increased student participation in leadership, service learning and extracurricular activities. And we especially shared, Brian did about how we opened up the opportunity for our unified sports and included even more of our students. So we felt really good about that.
Okay.
We went down to, we liked everything else, data and monitoring and timeline. We talked about making attendance and engagement separate. And because we do a monthly review of our attendance at the board meetings, and then we reward the building that has the best attendance with. This year, we're going to do a pancake breakfast. We did hot dog lunch last year. And then do more of a biannual review of the engagement.
So maybe
Oh,
monthly
yeah.
review.
Monthly review.
Review of attendance, and biannual review of engagement.
So monthly. This. View of attendance
And a separate bullet for biannual review of engagement. Is that right?
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, it's not gonna give me a bullet, darn you. Right.
So your attendance hit right after attendance, it hit the enter.
Return.
She did.
I did, it didn't work for some reason. Yeah, it's weird.
A little parentheses, it says add bullet.
After.
Oh,
There you go.
go.
Oh, you. 1 second. You see if I.
It's gonna make you buy, yeah, inset from it.
It is going to, but I can change that onto the fix it. Yeah, okay.
It's great when it works.
You know what's happening.
Yeah.
I'll work on that a little bit. So anything else that needs some refinement or any other things that seem to be like a really strong support for that strategic priority for thriving students and prepared citizens?
We have a district PBIS team, and I believe that we will have more than just quarterly reports, correct? We can pull those monthly reports, and our SEL implementation reports, they come from our counselor team, and they're in the classrooms, on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. Yeah, we're constantly doing SEL implementation and PBIS, so I think it will be more frequently important.
So maybe you just say PBIS and SEL implementation.
Thank you. Yes, I don't think we need to say quarterly. Is that what we thought?
But that was-
We do that?
That's under monitoring timelines.
Yeah, we're gonna go to that shortly, so let's stick with, we will talk about those. I'm gonna put it in here now that you wanna do it just because we're talking about it, but we will go back and start talking a little bit more about monitoring and timelines after we've done this. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and indicate that we want that struck out.
What else we got?
Okay, so performance indicators and the goal are supporting. Okay, anyone else? Go ahead and want to do that. All right, so the third priority. Oh, I have so many good things.
Or stealth mode.
Yeah, right?
Ah, we're good.
Yeah.
There we go. Academic success for all. Yes, that's the next one. Okay. Now, of course, it went too far. This is not. Okay, there we go. Okay, so like looking at your district goal of deliver a rigorous, well-rounded education that meets the varied learning needs of all students and prepares them for success beyond graduation. And then you have your indicators of performance. Anything that stood out that you really felt was a strong point of alignment with this goal or performance indicators for that strategy or the strategic priority?
Would like them all.
This one's kind of easy because it's academic. What do we get? What's our results? There you go.
But we do get a tremendous, I feel, tremendous amount of pushback that it's not just, maybe not pushback's the right term, but it's more than just scores on a test.
Right, yeah.
A lot of the time we spent talking about some of the different things that our kids are doing. We have a student, Ralph was talking about that went to work last year for Knife River, which is a really good job. They're working a lot of overtime. They bought a house.
In 19.
Yeah, how many, I mean, that is,
It's a huge.
yeah, that's success, no matter how you slice it. That individual may or may not have done well on standardized testing, but by our community standards, and I would argue everybody's, a 19-year-old in today's economy buying a home is pretty significant. Those might be a little harder to chase down and trap, but that is one thing that I've heard again and again. I mean, Steve Thorpe, he tells us, you know, in our board meetings that, it's more than just scores on a test. Our community is very concerned about our students being good, productive citizens. And so I just put that out there, something to consider.
Do you have any activities at like the end of the year? I know it is difficult. I've heard of some schools trying to do it, attempt to do like postgraduate surveys and kind of see where people are and.
Yeah, I would say expect it.
Yeah, okay. Well, is there any way that we could expand that a little bit? Is there a performance indicator that you could have that's like a graduate survey or just kind of any connections you have with them as they come back? It may not be a big thing, but just, or even at the end of the year when kids are talking about what they're going to be doing after high school. I know oftentimes schools will like say, hey, so-and-so is going to this college, or what are we also sharing if people are doing something other than college?
Sure, personally. Military.
Okay.
Yes, we have, we do different things, like our graduation, kids signed up, some of our kids have already signed up for the military, so we have sashes. So, yeah, fellow, running graduation was very, very strict, and so it's loosened up a little bit, but the only sash, like, we had the national, National Honor Society, and basically nothing else was allowed. And so we had, except the military, the kids in the military, so we'd have those kids stand up at graduation. But there's other little things like, we have a college, a signing. And so Krista and Adam will gather the kids and do the make that we can at lunchtime in the library, and when you sign these, and if the kids are going to college, where they're going to college, if they're going to, here's the work thing they're going to, if the kids go into the, they have a little signing thing that they'll and they put their picture and where the one we've got a symbol. But a lot of the stuff, the anecdotal kind of the stuff, like when you walk through our high school, and you basically we look at how many of our teachers were actually our students. And how many of our teachers, we have a couple of bulldogs, and they've taught many of the kids that are now the peers in the workforce. And that's one of the things I'm curious to see other districts, but I've been in some other districts around. I've not seen one that there's so many people, and they'll leave, they'll go out to Druid College all the way across the country. They come back here to more than simple, live and raise their families. So it's not a, I said, it's not a toggle thing, kind of, but it's that anecdotal thing of
our kids going, to work in the woods, they leave the classroom, they're going out, and so the companies that are here. They're not having to go to wherever and get workers, it's like our kids here have been able to fill the positions and fill them well. It's.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those harder areas to track as far as if you want some measurable data, but when we always are talking about what kind of data you're receiving, we talk a lot of times that you want to not just receive numbers, but you also want to see that anecdotal. So maybe if there's some way to incorporate that into a board meeting where you have people come and share what their plans are for afterwards. If you see that some kids are coming back, I don't know, it's just, it may not be something that you add here, but it's something to think about. In your numbers and when you're presenting growth and benefits, it is difficult. The only way people really can find out is just to conduct a survey. And whether that's a survey of the senior graduating class and say, hey, where are you going? That kind of thing. And then you have a percentage of what people are doing, going to military, going to college, going to a job, going into an internship. Then you have that form and you have that data. And that if you're looking at it every year, you can kind of see if those numbers have increased in certain areas or you didn't in others. So it's something to consider if you would like to see that kind of information.
Well, one way to collect some anecdotal data, I graduated from Gen High and they have a wall of fame. Where students nominate former members or community nominees, and they have a whole wall. So, buddy, when I graduated, I was in the military for 22 years and tons of tours over in Iraq and Afghanistan and everything. And so he presented at the school at an assembly and got on board and was recognized. So that's one way to highlight some of those bigger things, but we can do it in a way, it doesn't have to be as big. Like they have a whole wall to be done to, you can do it virtually too, and just have it on our website. And we can highlight former students, that have gone on in career in industry or whatever, and maybe have positive impact in the world. Then get those stories back, because then the feedback to us.
I'm just gonna add that in there just so you can, I don't know if you're taking notes, but I'm sure you are, just to put it in there as a thought for if there's some way you want to put something in there as a form indicator.
But the chief reduction, chief gaps across student groups, we looked at for our graduation rate, that's, I think Terry and I look at really closely and in my team at the high school. And one of the things, when we were really proud of this, that the houseless, homeless kid, whatever term they're using now, still kids that were homeless kids. The state graduation rate, we rocked it. I mean, we hammered that and did well with that group of kids, which in our community was fairly substantial. And then the same thing with kids that are living in poverty. One of the ones we looked at for a long time were students with IEPs with disabilities. And that's a number also that is risen. So what we've found is that, and our kids living in poverty is like a vast majority of them. But we've, on those, look at this, the state and the kid, we'll try to compare how we're doing. And those are the ones that we've been very proud of as far as taking care of all of our kids, no matter who they are. And so that's been,
I don't know if you're allowed to track it, but McKinney Pinto would fall right into that.
well, what you do with the homeless, they do have it on for
Yeah.
club, yeah. So it's kind of cool, they started going at the state level. And you maybe left already, they started on state level, so that's when we first started looking, it's like, I mean, there are kids just we care about. But those numbers were pretty impressive when we first started, wow, we're doing, a lot of times you're like, you're trying to work with kids, but that's a tough population to serve well. The one with special education IEPs, that's one that's tough because at times you'll have a group of kids that
Drop off.
have not made it, but they may still be with us, so they've not graduated on their cohort, but they're still with us, and we're still getting them ready for their post high school life. And so at times those numbers have been low.
Which is good to have those reports, so you can kind of look at that and be like,
Yeah.
is there anything we can do to?
And the state gives us that, and we do report that. The board.
Okay.
Report card.
Anything else on academic success for all?
For the monitoring timelines
Yeah.
portion. The graduation dropout data analyzed annually. I before, make it biannually. Because that way, if you do need to make a change, you're
Oh, yeah.
What would that, yeah, what would that look like?
just on, basically, the first one is if they're on pathway for graduation.
Contractor graduating, sure, that makes sense, but the dropout, or I guess if they dropped out in October, you could look at that in January, to know we've had 5 dropouts, let's try to recover them, which, yeah.
Well, and one of the things that we do, yeah, I mean, it's like, I've got and it's so dependent on people. Heidi Thorstad is the best that I've ever worked with. I mean, 27 years back and stuff, and with graduation, dropout rate, and did kids graduate. She is the best I've ever worked with, because she built a team, and then we've got a counselor that got us the other day. It's like, we've got. State said you have to have X number of counselors, and we got above that number, but Julia Least is one of our kids. One of our kids, well, she came back to us, she graduated, but she's targeted at our kids that are our dropout potential sort of kids. And so once they get into, I was on my dream team, and they started like this, if I get a kids, and we have kids come from other districts that will drop out. There was a kid last year, she struck out and she came back and graduated the 5th year with us. And so it didn't do anything for our, it did help us, if you will, right? But this kid's now on the next part of her life, yeah. And so
it did for her.
we're getting a lot of that, which is, and look, we're like looking at them all the time. They'll be looking at kids right now. We've got sophomore kids. They brought you, we're going to do a change of schedule. And then we're already looking, they may be on our list for our intensive service that are seeing.
Right, which is, it's great for
Yeah,
you guys,
yeah.
for board level.
Oh,
If we need to make a correction
Yeah.
or whatever, then we have enough time to, okay, you guys can do this.
Yeah.
That way it's. Because otherwise you're looking at it at the end of the year, it's like, okay, well, we can't really do anything with the ones that are already there, yeah.
That number's off. I mean, like, because of the way they do work with it, it would be really hard to say. Half a year, oh, you got 10 kids, because,
But it might be the same kid 10 times, so.
well, and that's what I mean, and
Right.
the high school does a great job of getting those kids. That do 10-day drop, or
Yeah.
do getting them back and getting them in the
Which
system.
we see that in the enrollment
Right,
already.
Yeah.
But as for
just not sure how to move it, hold on, it's like.
On track to graduate would be,
yeah,
Well, yeah,
that's
but I
one
mean,
piece,
yeah.
but then that next piece.
yeah,
I think
the-
is what you're talking.
yeah. I mean, just because we don't know that they dropped out, we
Well, and some of the stuff.
and you guys contact them and get them back in and.
One of the things that might fit is remember Kristen's, when we looked at, because the state is on track for 9th grade on track for 6 more credits. And so sophomore on track to basically with 12 of them, they're basically looking at what they can do. And we follow that data all the time, so it could be that with Kristen, like, come in, and we talked about the, just so the board kind of is aware.
Yeah.
Of the on track to graduate, that we look at the 9th grade, but maybe it's like, here's the junior group. And we have this number, and we have that data, we'll watch them all the time, but maybe it's like, hey, so you guys, we have this junior group, we have. 15 kids, 20 kids out of this group that are off track to graduate this time. And that, but it just tells us something where we're working, that may be good data just to show.
Yeah.
The success at the end, because success at the end is really pretty good, right, but.
and not almost was.
Yeah, but, yeah.
Another thing too, as we get started in this, on the front end. This year, maybe we have the numbers. But we also talk about the things that go along with the numbers, then what things we're doing. How they're met with, when they're met with, what are those supports that they can put in place? Because I guarantee you're.
Well, And this is what was good, but this is for you guys, so and this is good for a lot of women here. So Joey reached out to me, she wanted my great team. I apologize, it's just sort of a, so Joey reached out to me, she goes. And she's starting to do a thing now on kids that have graduated, and then they have, this is basically an information thing. And these are kids that have graduated from that part of our program, which was some of our most needy kids. And so they've gone back and talked about what would make it better, what would you like to teach them about? Well, I mean, so we just started this week, but Julia reached out to say, there was a lady, so one of our kids has been around a whole bunch of places to live, now living with somebody that, not a parent. And so they had somebody else, this lady's a really nice lady, so she brought this other lady in, and she had drunk or stoned or something, and. You know, on the floor, and they couldn't get this lady out, then all the stuff that these people had to run. And so Jody comes back and she was talking to this kid about how her life is, they finally had to, at least get the lady out that. This other lady that our students living with was trying to be kind. And Jody says the kid has never had, or at least. It's never had a bed, doesn't have a bed, so it's on the couch, it's on the floor, so Joey just has. Look at twin bed, so our team kicks in and we have Christy and we have Rich, some people, and I said, let's go to Christy and Rich and figure out if there's money. And if not, come back to the table, and when they come to the table, we'll fix it. But that's why this stuff's working. Dude, I've got my dream team is seriously just, they don't let kids, which is really good. Problem is, one of them's old like me and she'll probably leave, and I'm like, yeah, I'm nervous about the next, that's just the people. But that was just one that came before we came to speak.
And that's great that you're gonna go ahead and try and track that information and stuff like that, because it is helpful to decide with future strategic plans, if there are things that people have told us that they wish they would have, maybe we can incorporate that later, as a priority. Okay, anything else to add with academic success for all? Anything that you want to point out that is really strong, or needing refinement?
It does work well with the course, there's somewhere on there that about, college, I think college credit somewhere, it may be down further. We have the head of our student success center is a board member on the college board, and so she works really closely with them, and that helps us quite a bit. And I think the college just recently loosened up a little bit on some requirements for our college now teachers, which was really helpful. Used to be you had to have a master's in subject matter, and now I think it's just maybe a master's, and so they worked with us really well to get our kids who are going to college, the head start on college credits.
The bulletin board of their increased enrollment in advanced courses.
Yeah.
And CTE pathways, so that's under indicators.
Perfect, yeah, because the advanced courses, that's one thing that we're constantly, a lot depends on the staffing you have as well. So.
Hey. All right, look good, we'll move on to the last one.
There's Steve.
See, like.
Steel working. Okay, so last one, strategic priority for connected school community. The district's goal is to strengthen connections among schools, families, and community partners to foster that student growth and shared success. And these are the indicators that we are looking at to show that performance is occurring. Anything that stands out that you thought was like really strong connection to that priority?
Number 2.
Number 2, the growth in community partnerships. Okay. No, okay. And anything about any of the goal or the indicators that need some refinement, or your questions about that you want like further information on? What do we think about the performance indicators today?
One of the things I've seen as a bystander, because I think Terry Barbie, the district, right, the district hierarchy has tried to get out, and board has tried to get out like input from community, and at times I think it's difficult to people, everybody's not going to go when they're mad about something, but when you say, hey, we just need your input, we're looking at. it's tough, I think the board and the district keeps trying, but I think it's, which is kind of a good thing in my head, because like, if people are mad, they let you know.
Right.
If people are happy, usually they
They're
don't,
not showing.
I mean, you know, unless you're seeing them and go, hey, I really love that class that my kids taking. I'll see somebody and go, oh, but they don't put that on Facebook. Typically they don't, but if they'll put it on Facebook, if
But the good thing about having a strategic plan too, with these goals and these performance things, is that you're bringing that to
Yeah.
your meetings, you're gonna have reports on that, you're gonna have discussions about the good things you're doing, and that is a really public way for you to do that, so even if they decide to watch it afterwards, if they aren't showing up, they're still getting that information, so I think that's kind of important to consider. Any areas of refinement or questions?
This one feels more nebulous to me too, as far as the tracking. There's a limited amount of tracking, I feel right now that we can do, but. I think that's something we're gonna have to work on together. You know, Dale had mentioned. You know, something that he saw that I think would help track this. And so it's not just. Being the real principals or the leadership team, I think this is something as a strategic plan that we'll all be working on. Since it is a living document,
Yes.
I think we'll just have to chew on this piece a little bit.
Do you,
Piece it out.
so when you have like surveys and stuff, I know that we did one when we were ramping up for this one, do you typically do your climate and culture surveys as well? Do you do anything like that annually?
We've had a variety of them that we've done.
Mhm.
The state. Pushes on some and we get a little cranky because some of the areas they like to push on, we don't. And so there's also. Varying flexibility with those.
So you kind of create your own that you
We
report?
have.
The state survey is required for OSAS for our state testing. So the third, fifth, eighth, those groups of students will answer the seeds of, do you feel safe in your school?
Yeah.
Do you have a trusted adult?
Yeah.
So we are constantly looking at that, but as far as in the community.
That's an interesting piece there too, because. Our students consistently report that they do feel safe at school. But our parents kind of the opposite. Consistently report that our students don't feel safe at school. So there's a bug in the communication somewhere there. Or we're dealing, 2/3, but perception kills.
Well, kids are dramatic and parents go overboard. Speaking from experience.
They used to sing. And that's.
Through title, we have, reading nights and science night and math night. So we do have a lot of family participation and,
How do you track? Who comes?
you have to.
We've switched to, a lot of times, they let us do photos now. Take pictures of the event, so you aren't having to try and trace everybody down, so I see.
Okay, because I was like.
Dr. Seuss night, signing.
And we will see over time,
Yes.
we were talking over here about our. We got
No.
the ELL night last year.
Yes,
And so we have figures from that.
and we
And
get signage sheets.
in doing that again, so that we can compare back to, as far as I know, last year was the first year that we've done.
It was.
And so doing that again. And inviting in our ELL folks, that would be a good. Way to compare.
Yeah, and even if you don't get signings, sometimes it's just nice to have head counts and,
Photos.
Photos, yeah.
And with the PSN.
Jill reached out to Brian and I about putting some parent classes and if we would be a community partner with LBCC and we're actively pursuing that. So thank you, Dale.
So.
starting in February.
In February.
On something like that, though, that's. Since I set the classes up in the system itself. So that we can get at LBCC, we. Know how the numbers so they can report. And stuff, it'd be pretty easy to get,
Share data.
yeah, I'm sure, at least number wise out of, how many signed up, but this is, or. how many seats were available and how many signed up?
Okay, so we've gone through all of these. We started to talk a little bit. I'm thinking about switching from, you know, some things as far as the order of the activities, but would anyone like to take a short break?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's take a break. It's 4:35. Wait, what time is it? 4:35, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's color see, so.
Yeah, marketing water. No caffeine. Yeah, it's just saying, I like, no change. That's.
what we're planning on another activity, and that is addressing the monitoring and timeline for each of the goals, performance indicators. So we're gonna go back to the top. We're gonna start with the first one again. I know, and we just want to be focusing now on if we think that the performance indicators are specific enough for the board to monitor the progress. And then do we think that the timelines, the things that are putting down here, do we think that they feel achievable? And if they provide sufficient transparency for the public. So we'll pretty much, we've talked a lot about these indicators, and we've kind of done that. So really, I just want you to look and say, do you think that with the monitoring timelines that we have here for the safe and engaging schools, think of this as a 5-year plan? Do you think that the timelines feel achievable? And do you think that they're gonna provide enough transparency and data to the public? And maybe when we're talking about this a little bit, Terry, if you can kind of, if you want to give anyway about how you plan throughout the year, how you're gonna bring this information and when. So let's start with safe and engaging schools, monitoring timelines. We have a quarterly safety reports. We have an annual climate and engagement survey results. We have facilities improvement plan reviewed and updated annually. And then discipline and incident reports are reviewed quarterly.
That one changed, will change because of the, we changed it for like incident reports, we quarterly. We took out the discipline piece of it with referral.
Yes. So this will be conflict reports? You want to change it conflict or what? What do you want to do?
Well, I thought we had we had reduction in safety incidents, we had.
Just incident reports.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I'm wondering. So incident reports reviewed quarterly.
On the safety incidents, are we talking the slip, trip and falls, because we track those? Is that what we're saying there though? I just wanna make sure that I'm kind of fussy headed tonight, so making sure that I'm tracking. So we have the safety incidents. And then the conflict piece, conflict session, bullying.
That's almost that, there's almost, we need another bullet for it.
Right.
Because we added that, actually, avoiding incidents, peer-to-peer conflict,
Oh, you're getting.
so we need a. We need an indicator or. Sorry. Monitoring.
Should it say reduction of true bullying incidents, not peer-to-peer conflict?
Yes.
Oh,
Comma, not peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Or, you know, count as a bullet report and we'll figure out it's just a very good conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Without a question mark, maybe?
And that's.
That was just pretty good.
Yeah.
Look back later.
And there's a couple levels here that I think as we're getting into this, we need to continue to think about. One is information for the board. And by extension, information for the community. The board can always burrow in. You know, if we want more information on one or what this means. What does it mean? What does it not mean?
So I have a question, because this is overall safety, not just slip, trips and falls. But do we record like, for instance, the incident at the track and the evacuate people? Is that recorded anymore?
Well, we have those,
Do you have reports of those though? Like that are,
That would be something. Hey. Yeah, major incidents like
yeah,
that.
what we're doing now is sending it out by school, so if a school is put into a hold. And in a hold sense, except maybe for foster with dogs, lately, we send that out. So the parents know, if EMS shows up, even if it's someone having something fairly benign. I don't know, panic attack, an asthma attack, something. We send home Power School on that, so that our parents know. I mean, they're not going to know down to the level of if it's asthma or anxiety, whatever, but, you know, there was a medical hold. students stayed in their classes, allowing EMS to work with the individual. We're back in schedule operating normally. What type of a report would you like to see on that? So that we're notifying our parents. And if it is something larger versus medium, Julie will send out a message to the board.
Oh, okay.
So what would you like to see? Do you want to know if Foster's on hold because of the neighbor let their dogs out again?
Yes.
But I mean, that's what we need to know. And that may change over time too. No interest in hiding any of it.
All more so like lockdown. That
Yeah.
That would be a standard part.
Yeah, we
And
always
that's
send
as
out,
well.
yeah, we always send out the,
The incident reports.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's gonna be part of it. I will say, before I forget, it's a whole lot more enjoyable talking about this stuff. And this seems like where our time is being well spent versus other ways that we spend it sometimes. But finding out more what the board, and hopefully you feel the same, finding out more what the board wants to see. So that we can get that to you.
and we, yeah, that was one that, we've increased that quite a bit. I mean, well, shoot, we've been at Parents for a couple years or so.
Right.
Gary's one, and this was one that we came from top down in a good way. We were talking and it was kind of like, what do we got? What do we had something wrong? I called him, the boss, I had this. And then he's like, well, what do we need? So he said, oh, Parents, so Kevin crafted and worked with Kevin, Terry, and then I get somebody there to create, puts it out. So she'll maybe sometimes put, here's a little rough thing. Give it to Kevin will wordsmith it, goes to Terry, but it's a quick process. So we get it out sometimes before the ambulance is gone. There's a parent square going out parents. We had one the other day, was that people came up on the watch thing, hazardous spill.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're all panicking because we had no idea, but at the high school.
Yeah.
And so it was some diesel and leaked out of the kid's truck, but we went over there and we're like, look across the street, we crap, there's a truck. There's, I go with Nick, chief real quick, and what's going on? Well, it's spill of Jesus.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so they went in, but we were able to get a parent square out. One of the note was, our kids, it's probably more of a problem in high school than anywhere else, because if we go to a hold, kids will be texting their parents, and parents are breaking up. And so we tried to get on a medical hold, where we let them know, the safety, security, privacy of the student, shut down, so they're not in the hallways. We've had some that and we'll talk about this one real quick, because hey, I think we can get X done, we don't need to do a hold. If we don't need to do one, we don't, if they can get things that, the situation that went over with parking lots, we did not do a hold, because we were able to take care of it.
So what I'm hearing is that you kind of have like your Power School or Parent Square that you use for certain events and stuff like that. I'm assuming that because they're posted on there, that you have a way of tracking those. So it has a dashboard of information that board members would have access to, right? And then periodically you would bring maybe a report, okay, we had to send out 3 of these lockdowns this quarter. So when you get your incident reports and such like that, is there any other way that the board would like to be receiving data?
Add one thing to
Yeah.
this. One thing we've done too is we're working with the police department on joint press releases. So if we have something happen at school that involves the police department, and it's something they would do a press release on, they're actually a lot more forthcoming. They're able to be, because they don't have all the same requirements on them that we do on us. And so if they can do a police report, we're working with them so that we work in tandem. As soon as they're publishing it, we know, like we're hitting the button now. We can grab that and post it out too. Another, when I talked at medium and large earlier, the medium is something that would go, and this isn't formal, just medium would go out on Parent Square to let parents know if something happened at Hawthorne and we had EMS there or what have you. Versus something large that we would end up putting on Facebook because so many people know already. You wanna keep things at the right level.
Yeah.
Don't turn a loose dog into a huge event if it's not. Dog may be friendly, but it's still an issue because it's loose
Yep.
on campus. So,
Probably the same one each time too.
Just got two different
Oh, okay.
sets of dogs now.
Nice.
Okay, so are we good with those timelines and what we're monitoring?
Yep.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Well, we're gonna do the same thing for each. So we're looking at thriving students and prepared citizens. We have monthly review of attendance. You have biannual engagement data. We did say not to put quarterly on PBIS and SEL implementation report. When, is there a specific time those come out, or do we want something other than quarterly, or we?
which ones again, I'm sorry.
The PBIS and the SEL implementation reports, that's to take away the quarterly last time, do we have another time frame, or is there a set time frame when those are gonna be reported to the board?
When that was being, I would say bi-monthly to start, Barbie,
It's.
because
It's monthly.
it's-
month.
it,
Yeah.
overall, I think the communication is fairly ambitious. And so if we started, and if you decide, you know, board members here, that's fine too. With the PBIS, if we did it bi-monthly, so every other month, we're doing a report. And then we may find that we do want to do it more frequently, we can. And then after doing that, yeah, or less. But if there's a desire to hear it monthly, we can do that.
What do we think for?
Bi-monthly, is good.
Bi-monthly.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have annual student leadership and participation reports. We have annual climate and engagement survey. Any other clarifications, or do you think that these are all reasonable? Does it feel like these timelines are achievable for staff to beginning these various reports?
Get the annual student leadership. Participation reports and. Our. Representative monthly.
That's up to us, how formal we want it to be.
Is that, I mean. We are. Almost always get a monthly report.
Okay.
There's times where the student rep isn't able to come and give us the board report, but.
We're not going to have, I don't think. I don't know that we're gonna have time to report monthly on every single item.
Right.
If, but the student voice, that's one we should always hear. And so that, you know, that should be monthly with an aggregate at the end here that.
Okay, do you want me to change that annual for the student leadership and participation reports? We will do monthly. And then we'll add down here. As. Okay. And then annual climate and engagement, we talked about that, you usually have some sort of report annually. Okay. Looking good? Okay, next. All right, we'll look at the third category here. There we go. Academic success for all. We have our monitoring timelines, which we did a little bit of work on this, is that we have benchmark assessments that are monitored 3 times annually. We have state testing results that are reviewed annually. Graduation and dropout data analyzed and biannually, possibly, because that's what we talked about, and also including with those on track and data from other grades for graduation. And then course enrollment and program participation is tracked each semester. Does that feel reasonable? Any changes to that? Okay. And the last one. Connected School Community, our monitoring and timelines is that we'll have family engagement data reviewed quarterly. Community partnership reports updated annually. An annual stakeholder communication survey. Now, are those reports for community partnership and stakeholders, is this different or is that combined? Out of curiosity.
Surveys or.
Because oftentimes we use the word community partnerships and stakeholders. I don't think they're like as the same word. So when you say you have community partnership reports and annual stakeholder communication survey, are those community reports, are they as a result of the survey information, or I'm just a little bit confused?
I'm thinking that's separate, as we bring on, as we add community partnerships, folks doing things,
Okay.
that would be a distinct piece. Stakeholder, that's a more diverse group.
Okay.
Can you explain what both of those are? Like the community partnership and the annual stakeholder?
Community partnership, yes, reports, no.
Okay.
Community partnership, folks that we're doing things with, when,
The Knife River was.
that was a big one for us when Knife River came on as a partner, and they said, you know, look, we want to hire 5 kids.
Oh,
We want
okay,
5 of the high school kids
okay,
to come work for us. We'll come to you, we'll do the interviews,
got it.
and we've got 5 slots that we want Sweet Home students in. That's a community partner.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
ODFW is one that we have, with that group, we focus on hiring. And then there's other little groups, like there's other, like, good example, Big Bark,
Girls Club, yeah.
yes, he runs a big fire, and does a whole bunch of firefighting, but it's also
Wildlife.
reduction, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's actually has a kid in school, but that has connection with him.
Mhm.
And so well, actually they bought fires in the same fire, so it's, we have things like that with the big one of our release. We're hoping to increase Scott as some of this local business, the right side of the right family farm, I think.
Mhm.
And so Scott's builds the relationship. So part of it's ongoing.
Sure.
And CTE is where pops my unfortunately, because it's an easy sort of deal with. It's Robin Lindsay working with our brand helping transition or transition, yeah, the transit, the pre-ETS, pre-employment transition strategy. But that's maybe for our kids with special needs,
Mhm.
but she's getting out in the community, so sorry, it's lots of high school, so it's just our bread and butter.
Sure.
So when you say annual, do all the community partners come in and kind of give a report or a request for needs at a specific time, or is it broken out over the year, but it's still annual?
Yeah, that would be, so the community partners would be smaller and more diverse. When I think of our stakeholders, that's our parents, that's our students,
Okay,
that's our staff.
Okay.
It's a smaller group
Okay.
of larger
Population.
numbers, yeah,
Okay.
population.
Perfect. And then review of community event participation log each semester.
And we were talking about that in our group,
Yeah.
you know, do we do that through sign-in sheets? Do we do that with photos? Do we have a Google sheet where we can drop things in to do that? Those are important things. Basically, a lot of this, what we're looking for, I think, are positive trends. You know, are we going in the right direction? Are we trending positive with, you know, our community event participation? And some of those, you know, the bonfire can only get so big.
And I'm scared of the last.
Yeah, and so we're probably right at our max on that, but there was a lot of chatter around. Is this juniors only? No, it's not juniors only. It's high school kids. Well, what about elementary students? No, it's not elementary either. You know, so communication. Improving communication so that people know.
Okay, so everyone, that seems reasonable as far as when to receive this information. Right. Yeah, lots of budget. Okay, so now we're gonna switch gears just slightly here. We've talked about each of these on an individual basis. And I'd like to just have a quick conversation about overall. So let me just get to where I'm. And then hopefully we can wrap it up. Now, do you know where to go? It's down here. Oh, that's not the one I want. So these are the kinds of things I want us to look overall at. We looked at the goals individually, so now I want to look overall at the whole plan using these questions that, and I probably can't see those. Oh, goodness, okay. Try and get this bigger. I'm just gonna capture anything that I feel that we want to capture, so. Keep going, is that, I can do all those, let me see. There we go, okay. All right, so we want to look overall, as the plan as a whole, we want to look through the lens of, each of these questions, so that we're kind of testing the strength of the draft of the plan. So the first question is, do all of these goals align with the strategic priorities? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Are they ultimately focused on student outcomes? Look at each of the goals, look at each of the categories, and are they ultimately focused on student outcomes? Do you see anything that may not be?
And are there any things missing, right?
Yes.
Missing. You're going like, whoa, wait a minute, we didn't talk about. Man. Looks good.
We're good.
Yes.
So we're now talking about our performance indicators and the things that we have for these goals. Are they measurable? We look through each of them. They are something we talked about that are the things that we can actually measure and provide data. Whether that might be numbers or it might be anecdotal, we did talk about that a little bit too. We talked about, are they feasible? Do we feel that all those monitoring things, items and timelines are feasible? And the other question is, will working towards these goals help you to realize your vision? And the vision, not the mission. To the vision to have a district where all students are valued, inspired, and belong. Yes.
I think so.
So overall then, we've gone through all of these different details and we've kind of examined them closely and we're looking at the plan overall. And we're thinking that this is, 5 years, that the plan is usually for. Is this something that, do we feel that are doing all these goals that you have listed here, do we feel that the schools are gonna look different in 5 years? Because of all these different things that we're planning and.
It'll look different in 5 years,
Yeah.
for sure. Hopefully this will keep us on that positive trend that we're wanting to see. And if we're not, hopefully, but if we're evaluating this as we go along, it should. This 5 years time, they will look different.
Yeah. And what's great about this plan that you've worked in is that, okay, let's pause. We have, what if we're not seeing anything working in our favor? Say we get a year and a half into this and we're looking at the different data that we have. And then we decide, you know what, this is not where we want to go. So maybe we need to change our performance indicators. So those insufficient progress, that little area of each of those that is put in there to provide different things. If you're not seeing what you want, what can we do to do that? And I know that you've all probably taken a look at that. If you're not seeing sufficient progress, that's the area that when you start to look at your data, you want to be thinking about those questions, those things. That are we seeing what we want to see? Is it getting us towards where we want to be? If it's not, do we need to reevaluate? Do we need to change what we're looking at? Do we need to create another way of trying to find out certain data that we aren't already doing? So those are the kind of things too. All right, I want everyone to tell me, what do you think is the number one strength from this plan so far?
So for
Yeah.
me, so 2018, we've been, we years back, we almost. In 2018. And it was back there, we did this. And then we came around this time, the beautiful thing for me was, we came up, we changed around some of the stuff on here is a little different, we're doing things, crap, you didn't have furniture back, I mean,
Right.
we didn't have, right? But the 2018, looking at the district, I think a lot of the same idea, now change around because of the safety needs to change the prior grade. But that was a beautiful thing for me, because too many, we're seeing, they'll throw up a baby with a basketball, every time there's either a new soup or a new board, or they throw stuff out. This one has lasted in 2018, and then,
Yeah.
so that for me was a strength that we've shown already that it did well before, and the people came and looked at it again and revised it, and revitalized it. It's still really good, and so it's kind of constitution, it lasts a long time, it's still really good, so, I mean, that was, for me, that was the real.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't have, wasn't much on the other one, wasn't just kind of along for the ride and watching for the new early bidder, but I need to see.
And of course, that plant had COVID, which changed everything. So it's nice to see that you were able to drop some things off though and focus on other areas. Yeah. And that's kind of what you want to happen when you get to 5 years. You're gonna be like, okay, we've been doing so well with this that we don't need this goal anymore. Now let's think of another goal, you know?
Stuff like the state law, it's changed some to where that drives some of it also.
Any other refinements needed other than what we captured? Is there any other, everything kind of good to go? Other than we need to make that change with the vision and mission on that beautiful little one pager that you have that can be shared. What are your thoughts? Anything to conclude?
I think we also wanted to change this.
Oh, yes, the profile of graduate needs to be changed to portrait on the graphic as well.
So that's consistent.
Yep. Mhm. Well, I really appreciate, this is a lot of hard work, not just on the staff side, but for the board to be able to come up with what the priorities are, trying to vision what you want your district to be in the long term. And knowing that it's gonna guide you and as you go on for the next 5 years. And I think that it's really important that you all got to have that time together to talk about the different things and what it looks like. And understanding where the data is coming from, so you know as board members what you need to be looking at. And just using that lens as you go through. So I think it's great thing for you to all have. And if you have any other questions, basically the next steps are you have this plan in place and you've already incorporated monitoring and timelines, which is super cool because sometimes schools do that afterwards and it's outside of it and it's a little harder, but you have it all as one. So with those kind of changes that we indicated up here, what are you thinking that you might want to have this turned around so that the board can adopt it? And have that monitoring plan in place. I don't know, maybe next month or do you need 2 months? What do we anticipate that we'll be doing?
Any votes for next?
With, as revised.
We were delayed in getting this implemented. So Jenna just joined us, of course, and we've got Mary and Destin the roundtable too. But if the majority of the board approves of this, you know, I think the rough draft we should go ahead with. And so then it would be polished up. I'm not trying to rush it. If the board doesn't want to, that's fine. It would then be the next meeting. But just for sake of time and what, you know, the year we have left, I'd like us to go ahead and start with this. You know, we've said it's going to be a living document.
Yes, changes can be made as you go along. So when we say adopt it, it's, you know, you're saying that this is what your plan is, but with the idea that at any time, the board or staff can come up and say, you know what, this is what we're seeing, I need to switch here.
sort of. We go with this. With
This, and the changes that to be made. Then formally adopted. Next month.
Or
Or adopted,
tonight.
or you're saying adopt it now?
And I
Yeah.
think if you don't have a lot of people that were present for the exercises that we're doing, so it would be nice to see it in final format so that everyone can kind of review it. And make sure they agree with things, that when you're all voting, you know what you're voting on. Or if you have time between now and your meeting, maybe that can be kind of updated and be like, here, this is what we were looking at. And I can send that document to you, Terry.
We have 5 that were here the whole time.
Yeah, we have 5 out and now 6 of the 8. And the new member that's coming on tonight. It's just gonna be prerequisite joining us. We've got our plan. Again, I'll defer to the board. I would like to go forward now. Because any delays at this point delays all of the reporting and everything. But having said that, if you want to wait for a finished version. November, we can do that. It wouldn't stop me from reporting. I think we know. You know, what we want, we have that here, and so I could get that started. And so that would be fine too.
I'm okay moving forward to.
In fact, it's also verified. How do you feel about that? You just told me.
I have to find out if it's been a labor of love for a long time.
That's it.
There's been a lot of things over time.
Good, yeah. Well, congratulations. And I look forward to it. If there's anything else that you need for me to help follow up with those monitoring plans, you already have your graphic and everything, so that's huge
Are
support.
there any glaring errors that you would see with us going ahead now?
Anyway,
Glaring errors outside of, we've got 2 members that aren't here right now, they've been
the
involved.
only thing that I would say is, what did we put on the agenda?
You have it on your, info comments, there should be attended.
Strategic plan update.
Strategic plan update.
It is on the agenda, and that would be the time to discuss that, and then somebody can make a motion that they want to go ahead with the revisions that were made during the work session. As long as you had it publicized, if that's what you're doing, you want to make sure that if anybody from the public wants to come in and have a comment on it, that they can. Okay? All right, that's it. Well, congratulations, and thank you so much for letting me come along this joyful journey. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just email that to you.
Thank you.
Have-
Thank you.